I'm going to say it right now because I mean this wholeheartedly. This was a damn near perfect pro wrestling television show. Near because there's booking decisions that I absolutely would have changed up, rearranged, added, and took some stuff out, no doubt. But that's very much nitpicking, right? Beggars can't be choosers. That show last night, just like Tony promised us 2 weeks ago when he said he is now going to start producing a show for all wrestling fans. Not just the flips and dives, niche gymnastics, trampoline type audience, right? They're just there to see a 25-minute banger and watch fucking wrestlers turn into shooting star gymnasts. No selling. Nobody even gives a damn. In-ring psychology takes a backseat. No. Tony Khan said, I'm going to start producing a show for all wrestling fans. Hopefully putting an emphasis on storylines, making characters matter more. Maybe focus on your homegrown talent that could have been something huge, but when they captured lightning in a bottle and started getting that momentum, you made them non-existent somehow, right? You really put faith into the words of Khan, but sometimes the words don't matter. Actions speak louder than words. Well, for Tony Khan, he hit that wall where he was going to have to start producing with his actions. Last night, he did more than that. It was damn near a perfect Dynamite show last night. From top to bottom, a little bit of everything with a lot to talk about. I can't talk about the show in great detail anyway, not just because I don't have the time, but Tony doesn't like me talking about his shows in great detail because I start dissecting everything, and Tony has made it abundantly clear he does not like BC doing that. Bad BC. And I've been reprimanded by Mr. Khan and his people. So, it is what it is. I mean, I don't mind pissing people off. I've been doing it since the day I was born. I literally and figuratively have worn the black hat everywhere I go at all times. I don't mind being the asshole. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people need people to always like them. BC likes being the asshole. If I was in one of these companies, I would absolutely be the heel. I just love it. But I'm not trying to go out of my way to piss off Tony Khan. Some people think that's the case. Not at all. In fact, Tony Khan is probably going to wish that I did talk about this show in great detail because I thoroughly enjoyed it. So what am I talking about? Let's start from the jump. Chris Jericho versus Claudio, ROH Championship on the line. Decent little match. Chris Jericho has taken it back 30 steps. Obviously, age is going to do that. Mileage on that body is going to do that. So of course it's not the Chris Jericho in his prime anymore. And you really would have loved to have seen Claudio and Jericho in their prime getting it on. But this match happened again. I can't go over everything in great detail. Don't have the time. Tony doesn't want me to. I'm too harsh of a critic. So let me just get over to the finish, man, where Chris Jericho wins this title. Now, this sent the community in kind of a what the fuck mode, right? Okay, I mean, it's Jericho. It's not like he's not deserving. It's not like Jericho's not going to hold the title prestigiously. But how the fuck you going to do Claudio dirty like that? The dude just won it. He's perfect for the rebranding or the second coming of ROH. Claudio is that, that's the mold that you would build ROH around, right? Now, BC agrees with all of that. You know how high I am on Cesaro. You know how high I am on ROH. Now, I already told you this is going to be a shell of what it once was. ROH, if you, it's like NXT 2.0. You can have NXT 3.0, which we believe is going to be the return of a black and gold. Maybe it's yellow and gold. Maybe it's a slightly fucking orange tinted in gold. I don't know what Triple H is going to do. But it's not going to be the NXT that we remember. Those days are gone. Times change. And with ROH, those times are gone. You can try to rebrand it all you want. I hope it's not as bad as Vince McMahon trying to rebrand WCW or trying to rebrand ECW. I'm hoping that Tony Khan has a little bit more of a pulse on what needs to be done with ROH. But I totally agree with you when I think of the ROH that I love or loved and Cesaro, which we all loved. Claudio. Loved and still do now as Claudio. I agree with you guys. This decision baffles from a wrestling standpoint. But you got to think, are we back? We're back. Okay, we're back on. Slight cut there. Sasha botched. Little accident over there. Plenty of room. She's not mic'd. You think nothing can go right. There's no issue. Even if something happens, it's off camera. She's not mic'd. Everything's good. No, somehow Sasha finds a way to botch. Anyway, no harm, no foul. We're back. Let me pick up where I was leaving off. So, everybody is saying, okay, Claudio was the perfect mold for ROH. It's a perfect fit. I hear you guys. I'm with you 1,000,000,000% wrestling-wise. But you have to remember that this is a business. And you have to think, if you're Tony Khan, you're starting up ROH. It's one thing to get your niche. And the niche in every company is dwindling. AEW's niche has remained 850 to 950. It remains to be seen how much of the 1.175 from last week, that rating, it remains to be seen how much of that is going to become a niche, right? And can they become 1,000,000 plus in their niche audience? Remains to be seen, which means the faithful week-to-week viewer. And by the way, ratings-wise, I can't wait to see the numbers today. That's another reason I would love to go live later, or at least have another video, talk about the ratings with you guys, because that should be something. Do they finally pull a 1.2 plus? They came so close last week. You got to believe this is the event. But if you're running a business, you're running ROH, you're going to rebrand this thing, you can't just depend on your niche, which for ROH could easily be 500 to 700 tops. I'm being generous. I wouldn't be shocked if you get a Rampage type of an audience, 400 to 500. Okay, that's just the truth. So if you're Tony Khan, man, if you're going to start a company, a second brand, whole nother television show, guys, Chris Jericho is the guy to go in with the title. I know you may not want to hear that. I totally understand. Trust me, I gotcha. Cesaro, ROH rebranding. It's perfect. You got to remember, Tony Khan's trying to run a fucking business here. If nobody's watching or the network doesn't think that your show is worth a damn and they can fill that with a Law & Order SVU or Blue Bloods or an old Grey's Anatomy, they'll do it like that. It costs them no money and they can easily pull 300 to 350K. If you're only bringing in 100,000 more viewers and you cost them more money for the production fee and the fees to run the show, they're going to ditch you. That's how television works. That's why people that say ratings don't matter, I don't know why you follow ratings. Yeah, they do. They tell me what show is going to be canceled and what show is going to be renewed, why the decisions are being made. Ratings still matter today, perhaps in some areas more than ever before. Not just for advertisers, but for those networks and for the people running the companies. That's why Tony Khan on Thursday mornings, or afternoons, he is checking that phone 60 seconds out of every 60 seconds of the day. Every minute, every second, he's on that phone, bro. And 5 minutes after the ratings come out, when they're really good, that's why he's tweeting out. It means a lot to these people. And you're going to have somebody like Chris Jericho over Claudio. That's just it's the truth, guys. And I know that hurts. It sucks that Claudio was done like that. I hope that Tony Khan understands that he has to now rectify doing Claudio dirty. Even though it was the best decision for business. Best for business. Triple H line. Vince McMahon line. Best for business, but you still did him dirty, right? We're not going to shade that fact. We're not going to lie to ourselves. He was absolutely still done dirty, and now you have to rectify it. That doesn't mean going on a 50-match winning streak, necessarily. It just means put him in something meaningful right from the bounce back. Let him regroup, and let him try to get some momentum back, because that greatly derails somebody like Claudio. Chris Jericho wins this championship. A lot of people pissed off, a lot of people befuddled. I'm telling you right now why it was done. Tony Khan actually wants to make this a brand, ROH. He wants to give it its own television show. You have to do that with some of the biggest names from the jump. Then, once you establish an audience, absolutely, guys like Claudio can take over. I mean, you have to have those guys with the Jerichos anyway. But when you're trying to get people to your show and you say, who's your world champion? And you say Claudio, it's not going to ring a bell. You're not going to bring new people over there to watch. Because a lot of people still think of the guy as Cesaro. They don't even know he's Claudio. They think of him as Cesaro. So now you're saying Claudio. They don't even know who the fuck Claudio is, a lot of. If you're not the niche, they don't know who the fuck you're talking about. Claudio's your champ and you want me to watch? Okay. You say Chris Jericho? I'm not trying to make you guys agree with the decision. I'm just trying to help you understand why this was done, because this baffled a lot of people. And this was pretty easy for BC to come to the conclusion as to why this was done. And I totally see it. Now it's just about what happens with... Next was Claudio. Huge for the niche audience of AEW, man. Acclaimed. Man, that AEW niche audience is huge. The diehard AEW fan is huge on the Acclaimed, bro. I mean, I don't get the whole scissor me daddy shit. Maybe I'm from a different era. I don't see Brock Lesnar and BC Amplified shooting the shit over some cold drinks or over a nice hot latte. And we're talking about fucking scissoring us, daddy. I don't see that happening. But the niche audience of AEW totally gets it, loves it, and these cats are off to the races, man. They've surpassed FTR for most popular tag team in AEW, and that kind of Tony Khan made that happen. Tony Khan has made FTR irrelevant as a tag team. They've been in a bunch of one-on-ones, a bunch of six-man tags, and as far as AEW television, they've only been in a couple of tag matches in the last several months. And they have not been anywhere in the AEW title picture, tag team. So Acclaim just surpassed them easily. It was almost like FTR was riding on the highway with two flat tires. And the Acclaimed is on the highway with a fresh new fucking 2022. They're fucking rolling on dubs. They're flying by the fucking the broken down FTR vehicle, and they're like waving as they go by. Acclaimed. I never saw this come. When I first saw and heard the Acclaimed, why we loved Max Caster and his... Yo, listen. I honestly thought this was going to be nothing more than a jobber team within 6 months when AEW started, when they arrived on the scene. And here they are. I could be more proud of them. Just because I don't get the act doesn't mean I'm not proud of them. It doesn't mean that I'm not happy for everybody that loves this team and that had that awesome moment last night. They defeated Swerve in Our Glory. And the crowd, man, that pop was so electric. And I got to be honest with you guys, man. First of all, Swerve in Our Glory, I hope they have great things for Keith Lee. Just like seeing Claudio lose last night. Same with Keith Lee, man. He drops the title, he loses a big match, and I just hope that Tony has something big for Keith Lee and he's not just relegated back to Rampage. But on the flip side, looking at it more positively, man, I could not be... It couldn't be more... great for BC to see Billy Gunn with the Acclaimed. I think it's so good for the Acclaimed because when I see their rise in their promos connect, or just when they're on the mic and it connects with the audience, I do think of the New Aged Outlaws, believe it or not. That's not just because they're with Billy Gunn. I just think of that anyway. And then you add Billy Gunn over there, and it's like if anybody can give them tips backstage. If anybody can just give them these little nuances that will greatly help them. It may seem little, but it's going to be huge in the grand scheme. Billy Gunn is that person. I just love behind the scenes, this pairing. And obviously on camera it works for sure. This team is just through the stratosphere. And they had a culminating moment at Grand Slam last night, defeating Swerve in Our Glory. Swerve is one thing, but Keith Lee, whoo. I don't know where he goes from here, and I don't know if Tony knows. Moving on, MJF had such a good... I almost said amazing. I don't want to be one of those wrestling fans that exaggerates everything, right? Every 10-minute match gets a "This is awesome" chant. This is awesome. Fight forever. Holy shit. Come on, man. I don't want to do that. That's what wrestling fans... We've worn out all the great chants. There's no more great chants. You guys know how I feel about that. I don't want to be one of those. So I almost said this was an amazing segment, but this is so good. So good. Now, BC's tried and true. You're probably thinking, well, you're going to say that because you love MJF, BC. You're a huge MJF fan, BC. Yeah. You guys know that. I don't hide that fact. I tell you that. Damn right I'm a huge MJF fan. Why would I not be? He's one of the only wrestlers we have left today that gets it. that knows that even on social, you have to still be your character. When you're in public, you got to be your character. You got to keep kayfabe. Any semblance of kayfabe, you got to keep it alive. Alive! BC, you're being ridiculous. Kayfabe is dead. It's been dead. It's never coming back. The magic tricks have been exposed. You're right on everything. I don't disagree at all. Well, BC, you just said he's keeping kayfabe alive, but then you're saying it's dead. You're contradicting yourself. No, you're right. It's dead. MJF knows it needs to be alive for wrestling to work. That's why fans don't give a shit anymore about wrestling. They tune in whenever the fuck they want. They can miss 4 months and go, oh, it's just football. It's football, basically. That's all. Right? Well, you still have to captivate an audience. You can't just take seasons off. If that's the case, then just say you're taking a season off. But to not have a connection, that's what wrestlers today, they don't have a connection, man. They don't. 90+%, I would say 95+%. MJF gets it. How would I not be a fan of this dude? Everything he does, man, is captivating, and he doesn't have to do flips and dives and be a glorified gymnast, as he said himself many months ago. He doesn't have to damn near kill himself to get over. He's got what's called the it factor in the business. So MJF has this such a great top of the ramp, top of the staging area, back and forth with Wheeler Yuta. Tony Schiavone is in the middle of them interviewing. It was originally Tony interviewing Wheeler. MJF comes out, and MJF just goes off, man. He calls Tony Schiavone, I forgot what he said. He's a fat shit or something. I don't know. Poor Tony. Tony looks off camera. He's like, I'm not fat. He's, man, he went hard. He's like, maybe you can ask your friends for advice. He says, maybe ask Brian Danielson. Ask him how to make your fucking brain like scrambled eggs. He says, ask Willie how to pop pills. Like, legit. He said, well, you can ask Mox. No, forget it. Mox isn't all there. You can't ask him anything. But ask Willie how to pop pills. I mean, he was going down the line and really sending some fucking zingers. And Yuta had enough. Yuta just smacks the taste out of MJF's mouth, bro. And MJF was not happy. Headbutts Wheeler Yuta right in the side of the brim of the fucking nose. Yuta goes directly down. Schiavone tries to hold back MJF. MJF shoves Schiavone to the floor, to the ground, or at the top of the ramp, but shoves him down. Tony goes to like get up, and MJF shoves his face back down. Schiavone at this point is trying to hold him off. MJF turns around. Wheeler Yuta takes him down, starts throwing in some bows. Morrissey comes out, man. Will Morrissey come up? Big Cass. For those of you that don't know, he's part of AEW now. He comes out, takes Yuta by the throat, and MJF, I believe it was with that ring that he has on. He nailed him with that ring, knocks Wheeler Yuta out, that diamond ring. And then he starts just pulverizing them. Bunch of referees, suits and ties come out to break it up. I love not just the segment, but because he was just on, man. MJF was in rare form. Who am I kidding? That's what he does. That's just what he does. For anybody else, that would be rare form. That's his natural. That's him. Every time he goes out, you could expect a fucking banger on the mic. And I love him with Morrissey, just like I loved him in not loved, but I liked him in Wardlow. That pairing, it does remind me of an old school Shawn Michaels, Sid Justice, Shawn Michaels, Diesel, and this even more with Morrissey. It just belongs, you know. And when you're with somebody who just has the it factor and they're so good at what they do, like a Shawn Michaels, a Diesel, Kevin Nash. Sid Justice was already established as Sid Vicious in WCW. He didn't need Shawn Michaels per se, but it helped. It helped them in WWF. And Kevin Nash, Big Daddy Cool Diesel. You know, when you have Shawn Michaels, it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for Michaels. It's a win for Nash or Justice. In this case, MJF and Morrissey. And it's a win for the companies that they belong to and the fans. This is a win-win. I love Morrissey with MJF. So everything about that segment, regardless if I'm an MJF fan or not, doesn't matter. Everything about that was fucking top notch. Now, Pac then defeated OC, Orange Cassidy. I'm surprised that Orange Cassidy is where he's at. There was a time, and I say this about so many AEW talents, so many of them, homegrown talent had so much momentum at a time, and even when Tony Khan ruined the momentum, they somehow got momentum back, and Tony found a way to ruin it again. Cassidy is one of those people that had momentum a couple of times. You really thought he was going to be a huge star in AEW, and it was just taken out from him both times. And last night, he just loses. I'm not saying that Pac could lose that match. Pac had to win that. But maybe don't book it then. Because Orange Cassidy, if you're not just a tried and true, die-hard, niche audience AEW fan, and even a lot of you guys have to admit, Orange Cassidy, you got to start thinking creatively for him, booking-wise, going forward, because he's starting to feel like another spoke on the wheel. And there was a time when AEW started that Orange Cassidy, and I'm not saying I'm the biggest fan, the comedy with the little shin kicks, it has its place, but only a small place. Let's not get carried away and totally expose the business any more than it already has been. Totally make it a joke. But Orange Cassidy can wrestle. You add that with the little bit of comedy, the momentum that he had, the fan reaction. It's surprising to see Orange Cassidy, but I guess you could say, well, basically, at least he was on the card, right? He wasn't on Rampage, at least. Tony Storm then rolls up Baker in a four-way for the Women's Championship, Tony Storm's championship, and Tony Storm wins this by actually defeating Baker. I think Baker knows she has a lot of heat on her lately. It's New York City, and Baker's like, let me take the fall here so New York doesn't totally shit on me. So Britt Baker just kind of took one there because she knew she had to in New York, man. There was no way that Athena was taking that. And I guess you could have, well, no. Baker knew it had to be her. But that's not the biggest news story here, man. Paige, Saraya comes out of nowhere, man. Music hits. People are like, who the fuck is this? Great theme music, by the way. And then just Saraya comes across the Tron. And everybody, you could hear an audible, oh! It was, now I've never been a big Paige fan. Never. And even BC was like, oh shit. The women's division in AEW has just changed. Business has just picked up, if I can use a JR line. Business just picked up tenfold. There's so many. Again, I'm already going way longer than this should have been, man. This should have been nowhere near a half-an-hour video. But Paige, Saraya, she going to AEW, and it looks like it's going to be a competitive contract. She signed a contract with AEW, that's official, and it looks like as a wrestler. Now, it's very early in the morning. I have to find out more info. It doesn't look like she's going to put together a stable to come after Britt Baker. And it looks like she's going to wrestle. I could be wrong. I have to do more info, but she was going around telling all of them, this is my house. This was the old school Paige, where she was ready to fight. She was inviting Britt Baker, Hater, everybody into the ring to take her on, screaming at anybody that would look at her, this is my house. So it looks like she's going to be wrestling. So that in itself is newsworthy. I mean, she has not wrestled in years, and we just hope the neck and her body can hold up. So far, Bryan Danielson has been able to come back with no major issues. A couple of injuries, no doubt, but doctor said he can still rock. Edge has been able to come back. Nothing huge has taken him out for good. He's still rocking. So, these are people that Paige said, hey, you know what? She said this herself. She said, if I saw that, it inspired me. It motivated me so much to try to come back. And last night she actually did. So that's huge in itself. But just think about what this does for the women's division in that company. That company severely needs this. Not even my girl, Athena, who I fucking love, Ember Moon. I love Athena. You give her a championship on her first night in AEW, I would believe it and I'd be okay with it. And I don't say that often. But, she's one of those workhorses in that company, no question. Can she be the face of it? If given the proper time, booking, and care and attention? No doubt. But it's somebody like Saraya, Paige, who's going to come in and absolutely flip the script on the game. Somebody that we were talking about when Sasha Banks walked out and people started to say, hey, imagine if she went to AEW, and BC said, I don't see it happening, but if she ever did, that changes the game. That women's division now just instantly becomes legit. And I know you got the Athenas, the Britt Bakers, Jade Cargill's fucking finding her traction with that TBS championship. You got the Serena Deebs. Toni Storm. A lot of people are looking as an upgrade as a champion over Thunder Rosa. But it's not to the level of Saraya. It's not to the level of Paige. And we all know that. And when you saw her last night, you'd be lying if you said the game did not just change. That is massive for AEW. I mean, it was a big, big moment. I'm not trying to over-exaggerate this. I'm not trying to over-embellish it, be over-dramatic. I mean, that was a massive moment for AEW because that women's division needs it. So this was big for Paige and the fans, but for that fucking company, I can't begin to explain how big it was, and I just don't have the time now. So Sasha's still telling me. Massive, absolutely massive, and I hope to talk much more about that in the future in other videos, guys, but I'm still trying to comprehend that. So I'll be able to talk about it better when when I've actually had time to comprehend it. We went into the main event, Mox versus Bryan Danielson for the championship. The AEW World Championship that has just been a clusterfuck for the last several months. But from the very time CM Punk said he was injured, everyone's like, then just take the title out. What are you doing with interim title? What? And then you have people like Wardlow that you thought was going to get a rocket saying he doesn't even want to be a part of the tournament. It's below him, but he's going to go for the mid-card title. Nothing made sense. Mox ends up winning it. Mox is on a meteoric rise. I mean, his promos are on fire. His matches are immaculate. He's feeling this confidence. He's riding this wave of momentum. And then just because it's Chicago, CM Punk ends it all and takes the fucking title. Mox is finally going to be able to go on a vacation and think about how the fuck he was done dirty. I don't give a fuck if you're in Chicago. You know that CM Punk is beyond injury prone. Tony Khan knows this by the time they reached All Out. He knows he's injury prone. He knows by that point that the locker room is not happy with Phil Brooks, CM Punk. And he still puts the fucking title on him. Because it's Chicago. No, the right call was to keep it on fucking Mox. Piss off, Chicago. It's okay to make your audience not happy. In today's world, we want instant gratification. We always want to have a smile on our face. It's not always the case. Send Chicago home pissed off for once. Every time Punk is in Chicago, everyone walks out fucking happy singing his praises and cult of personality. No, that was Mox's to win. Okay, so you're going to go on vacation now, right? He's got to lose it because he wants to go on a vacation. Because no, if you told Mox he's going to have a title reign, Mox knows in this business how big that is. Mox would tell Renee, we're going to hold off vacation until I drop the title, even if that's 6 months from now. But no, and then all of a sudden the all-out media scrum and the backstage brawl happens in the locker room, and then who did they call upon? Mox is right back into it, helping to carry the company on his back. So the whole title picture has been weird. Then we do another mini tournament to set up this match between two good buddies that we've seen in the past. We've already seen them wrestle several months ago before they formed the BCC. But it's a match that you're going to be willing to see more than one time. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. It's Mox and Danielson. It's not like we're going to be like, oh, we saw it. We don't need to see that again. But the title picture has just been such a clusterfuck that like people were really like, I'm saying that a lot of the niche audience was telling BC this. A lot of people were just like, dude, I'm so worn out by this title picture. Just put it on somebody and let's just ride it out for a minute. Just let us catch our breath because this is just tiring. Last night we finally had a culminating winner and it was Mox over Bryan Danielson. And another reason I say damn near perfect show is because when that match ended, the crowd, the show, fell flatter than a New Day pancake. And that's the truth. And I'll be the first person to say that the Mox should have never dropped the title at All Out. Mox winning the title last night, absolutely BC is okay with it. It's more than deserving for Mox, and Mox is immaculate right now. This is the best version of him in his whole career. If he's not going to tell you that, BC will tell you that. I followed this guy's entire career. This is the best. I mean, he is firing on all cylinders. So of course, Mox winning the title is more than okay. But Tony backed himself into a corner where it was more than okay, well-deserved, and absolutely realistic as long as it wasn't last night. Tony backed himself into a corner because of this whole world title conundrum and this tiring bullshit from the moment CM Punk got injured many, many months ago and how horribly wrong it has been handled since. There was no way that Bryan Danielson, anything other than Bryan Danielson walking out of New York City, Arthur Ashe Stadium last night, Grand Slam, Dynamite, there was no way anything other than that was going to be acceptable to that crowd and to most people at home. As much as I say Mox is deserving of it, and any other night I am okay with him winning it, and I say he should have never lost it, there was no way that people were going to be necessarily happy or cheering enthusiastically as we go off the air with Bryan Danielson flat on his back looking up at the lights or the sky. No way. And you go back, you listen to the crowd, you watch the crowd. Remember how you felt when it happened. Even though we love Mox, a lot of us love Mox, and we thank him for the work he's been doing the last several months. It ain't just for himself, he's doing it for us. Performance is top notch, his confidence, his mannerisms, his motions, everything has just been top level. And we were just kind of like, oh shit, Bryan Danielson didn't get that? It's because Tony Khan backed himself into a corner where that was just the moment that had to happen last night. It had to be Bryan Danielson. You ain't got to take my word for it. Go back, watch it. I have a couple of times. Listen to the crowd. They were like, whoa, okay, we love Mox, but what the fuck? I thought that was this dude's time. New York City. Culminating moment. Let Mox go on his vacation. No, Tony Khan backed himself into a corner, and then he just maybe he panicked, and he just tried to rectify the wrong. Maybe Tony Khan now knows the title never should have left Mox at All Out in Chicago, and now he's trying to rectify it. I have no fucking idea. But that's the route he went with in New York. Man, when we ended the show, such a near perfect show, it ended flat. And you could just see and hear the crowd, and you're like, oh, man. Like, with that type of show, you honestly thought that it was going to end with this is just fucking the crowd going nuts, this huge thing. You felt like this energy, right? And the show just ends so flat. And they ran out of time, too. Bryan Danielson rips the title away from William Regal because Regal was about to put it around the waist of Mox. He rips it, and it looks like Danielson now has a problem with his fellow BCCers. And then we just go off the air. What ended up happening, for those of you that don't know, I'll give you a little bit of info, man, not to spoil it. You can probably go back and watch it online. But what happened after the show, if you were there in the arena, you know, Danielson did rip the title away, but he told Mox, respect, I'll put it around your waist. And he puts it around the waist of Mox. Mox turns around. He does not clock him. Mox turns around without Danielson clocking him. And Danielson extends his hand, and they shake hands. And it was a pretty cool moment. I'm sure that would have been pretty cool on camera, but they ran out of time. You know, that's what happens sometimes. You know, I know they're in their fourth year, but it's still a younger company. They'll go through the growing pains and find that out. Timing management is still a big problem for Tony Khan. So hopefully that gets corrected. But congrats to Mox, man. It's not like he's not deserving. For people to be bummed about it, I totally understand. For people to totally hate the decision, I'm not on board with that. Mox has done more than enough to rock that championship. But I totally understand. The moment fell flat because Tony Khan, this didn't just happen overnight. This was all these little issues built up to a moment where they wanted, it wasn't going to be a WrestleMania 30 moment, But they wanted this massive moment. They wanted to be there when Bryan Danielson achieves his culminating AEW moment. And when it didn't happen, that's the result you had. That's the response. I sum it up to like Aaron Judge, who's about to hit 61 home runs for the Yankees. And he's at his last at-bat last night against the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's the 8th inning. The game's already a blowout, 10-4. Yankees already won. But people stayed. In New York, that's not usually what's done. We're kind of we're spoiled. We got things to do. So we get a big league in New York. You would think that any other stadium, you stick around and you applaud your team after they win. No, we get the big lead. We know we're gonna win. We start walking out the exits, and half the crowd's gone by the time the Yankees win. I know that sounds sad. It makes us sound like assholes, literally turning our back on our team, but we have a lot to do, man. It's a different world in New York. But everyone stuck around, you know. Everyone wanted to see Judge hit the 61st home run, tie Roger Maris. And that didn't happen. The Pittsburgh Pirate pitcher walked him. So the entire crowd that stuck around to see that home run, they're like, what the boo! Pissed, bro. Absolutely pissed. You know, they stuck around for that because it was a culminating fucking moment. We all knew what needed to happen to send everybody home happy, and it just didn't happen. The Pittsburgh Pirate pitcher did not get the memo. Tony Khan didn't get the memo. The one thing he needed to do to send everyone home fucking... Well, BC, you said it's not about sending people home happy necessarily, right? You want to get them fucking pissed off. That's the thing. With Mox, it doesn't necessarily get you pissed off. It's just like, ooh, is that the best route we could have went? Right? That's why it fell flat. If it was just sending people home pissed off, I love that. But this isn't doing that. It's leaving fans kind of like in the middle. It's like, oh, we love Mox. But what the fuck, Tony? We want to see Aaron Judge hit the 61st home run. Pitch down the middle, man. You already lost the game by fucking 6 runs at least. You know, we wanted to see that culminating moment with Danielson. It didn't happen, and that's why that response is what it was. All right. I am so fucking late now, man. Damn near perfect show for AEW Dynamite. That's right. If Tony Khan would just let me do a whole hour-plus review, he would have liked this one. See that? For my assistant, Sasha, I'm Top Guy BC.